When I returned from the market that day, I had no idea that my life was about to end will change in a way I couldn't predict. It seemed like it was normal morning, or so I thought. I went to buy some products, taking ordinary things. Fruits, vegetables, some snacks for home. I felt a calmness that comes with routine, but I didn't even suspect that something unexpected was waiting for Muhen. I entered the house from the living room. Camia. Quiet sound of laughter. It was my stepson Jake and his friend Daniel. Jake lived with us last year. Though it was good as a child, I always felt a certain the distance between us. Maybe it was because of the age difference, or maybe because he is used to living without his father figures for so long. But today, when he entered the air, there was an atmosphere of which it wasn't there before. Jake was sitting on the couch, and Daniel was standing by the windows with their backs to me. There was something in it attractive, although I couldn't understand what exactly was it that he seemed to be waiting for something, or maybe someone. His immobility. I was worried. "Hi, Mom. Are you back?" said Jake, breaking the silence. I smiled, trying to shake off the strange feelings crawling into the chesties. "I just got back," I replied, leaving the bags on the kitchen table. But when I looked at Daniel again, and I saw that now he looks at me with his eyes met mine for a moment, I felt it down my spine. A shiver ran through his gaze, tense, anxious, as if he could piss me off if I don't. Cautious. "How was the market?" asked Daniel. Titchum is almost too formal in a voice that said, "Everything was fine," I said, forcing a smile, trying to drive it away. The anxiety that grew within me. Here was no reason to feel this way. After all, he was just Jaco's friend. I walked into the kitchen, and it got stuck in my head. The expression on his face is almost predatory, but that's not it. Called have been right. Too much I thought about it. He was just a teenager, and I imagined all sorts of things when I was putting away the groceries. I heard they whisper in another room. Their voices were barely audible, but something in them, the conversation was not so. I felt a change in the atmosphere, as if they discussed something that I didn't want. I heard fear took over, and I discovered that I come closer to the door. Through a small crack, I saw Jake and Daniel sitting on the couch, but their body language changed. Jake usually seemed so relaxed, tense, and Daniel leaned too much close. For comfort, he spoke in a whisper. His words were too quiet to be heard. It was possibilito disassemble. All this interaction made my heart beat faster. Before I could move away, it creaked a door. Jake looked up, his eyes expanded. "Mom, what are you doing?" Caught. I quickly turned around and tried to behave casually. "Nothing, just cleaning up things," I said, leaving the room, but something inside was wrong. As if under something is brewing on the surface. Dinner got even weirder. Daniel stayed for dinner, and although I tried, I don't maintain casual conversation could ignore the tension hanging in the air. He looked at me more often. His usual gaze lingered a little longer than usual. I felt that something not so. Every time he smiled, it seemed calculated, as if he was playing in a game that I didn't understand. After dinner, Jake excused himself and went to hang out with friends, but Daniel stayed. He sat on the couch fiddling with my phone, but the atmosphere was thick with unspoken words. I tried to ignore this feeling, but it didn't go away. "You need anything?" Daniel asked, his voice that was quiet and even, which is why a shiver ran through me. "No, I'm fine," I answered quickly, almost too quickly. But the anxiety is still there. He remained standing and approached to the place where I stood. My heart again it started to beat when his fingers touched mine while he reached for the dishes I was drying. There was a short touch. The air between us seemed electric, crackling. I stepped back, trying to regain control. "I didn't want you to embarrass," he said. His tone was sincere, but there was something else behind it, as if he knew something that I didn't want to admit. "Everything is fine," she squeezed out. I am trying to even out my breathing, but when I looked at him, I realized that there is something more to it. What I didn't want to admit. Daniel was more than just a friend, Jake. He had an influence on me. Influence I didn't want to feel. I couldn't stop thinking about him. Presence, about how he looked at me, about how his touch caused. I felt a shiver down my spine. I knew what it was wrong. He was too young, practically a family. But there was attraction undeniable. The more I thought about it, the more I understood how much this could bite will be dangerous. For the next few days were awkward. Every time he came, it tried to keep distance between us. There was something invisible attraction. Every time I tried to look away, he was there. His eyes watched me. His presence seat was overwhelming. One evening, everything reached apogee. Jake was with friends, and I was home alone. With the air was thick with Daniele. Felt the anticipation between us. The tension is growing, as if it is about to happen. A storm will break out. I tried with something to do, but he was everywhere. Presence was impossible ignore. Finally, he spoke to him. The voice was quiet and heavy, and I couldn't understand what exactly he wanted to say. "I think you understand how I feel," he said, coming closer. I opened my mouth to answer, but couldn't pronounce not a word. His eyes were like that, so tense and searching that seemed like he was looking through me. "You're not just Jake's mom." He continued. His voice was now almost a whisper for me. "You are more than just my mommy." Heart was pounding in my chest. I didn't know how to react. Everything inside me screamed that this is wrong, but the pull was too much. I retreated strongly, but Daniel held out hand and touched my hand as the touch caused a shock. At that moment, I realized something about the danger of our connections were only part of a story. The deeper danger lay in the truth that I tried denying. My feelings for him was the moment that could have changed everything. Booty had to face this regardless of whether I was ready or not. No, the following days were filled with confusion and heightened emotions, as if the world around me had changed and is stuck in a place where I didn't want to be. Every time I saw Daniel the Earth Kenedone evening after Jake, I came home and tried to behave that okay, pretending nothing happened. Changed. I couldn't let him find out what I feel, especially when Daniel was nearby. But every time Daniel entered the room, my heart it started beating faster. It was as if he became the center of my world, attracting me with every look, with every word. Resisting the attraction was almost impossible, but I had taught Jake, of course, noticeable to Russian, auto-generated, all watched.